It is VS Code, Visual Studio Code, right? So when you work with .NET, you find Microsoft Visual Studio. So for .NET, so don't download that. Try to download VS Code. Okay. So there is a VS Code here, Visual Studio Code. So once it is installed, yes, we'll see the basic steps to work with the VS Code. So once it is installed, then how do we configure? Okay. So working with, see, this configuration changes when we try to introduce different things in your project. Okay. Working with VS Code. Working with VS Code. Let us see how to work with the VS Code. So after installing the VS Code, I created one shortcut on desktop. So just open this Visual Studio Code. Just open Visual Studio Code. Okay. So when you open this Visual Studio Code, see, by default, it is not able to execute anything. Okay, because this Visual Studio Code is an editor. It is an editor or it is an IDE which can be used to write and execute different programs written in different languages. So don't think that VS Code is used only with HTML, CSS, JavaScript and Django or Python. VS Code is an IDE. VS Code is an IDE which is used to develop applications or programs of different languages or programs of different languages. It allows to write. It allows to write code in HTML. It supports HTML, JavaScript. Okay, anything. CSS. You can use Bootstrap. Okay, web application development, Bootstrap, jQuery, Angular, anything, any applications you can develop. Angular, okay, Node.js, okay, React.js. And not only that, you can also work with Java, okay, C, C++, Python languages. See. It allows to write code in HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Bootstrap, jQuery, Angular, Node.js, React.js, Java, C, C++, and what? Python languages. You can see about VS Code here. So this is VS Code, Visual Studio Code, VS Code. If you see this VS Code introduction, right? So which you can use it. It is not only C, it support how many languages you can see here. Extensible and customizable. Okay, using VS Code, you can develop different types of applications here. This is Python and this is C, C++. Okay, and yes, Docker, okay, TypeScript, Angular, Go, okay, and Java. So a lot of applications you can develop it by using which one? VS Code. Okay, but initially we'll try to see how to work with HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Bootstrap, and one more is jQuery. And later we'll see how to configure Django. Okay, later we'll see how to configure Django as well as Python. Okay, how to configure Django and Python. But initially, we'll try to work with HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Bootstrap, and jQuery. So first step is, yeah, we'll see later here. Integration will see Angular with Django. Integration will see Angular with Django and Node with Django. That will see it. Integration will see, but not complete Angular and Node. If complete Angular and Node, so that will take a lot of time. If it is complete Angular and Node, so that will take a lot of time. Okay, now? Yes. Integrations will see. Integrations will see. So not complete Angular and Node, right? So VS Code is an ID which is used to develop applications or programs of different languages. So then first is, yes. So first thing is, okay, already it is shared in Google Classroom. Siddhant Sahu, already it is shared in Google Classroom. Please try to verify there. Okay. So then how to create a web project in VS Code. How to create web project in VS Code. Google Classroom code, you ask admin. Google Classroom code, you ask admin. Okay. How to create web project in VS Code. So a project is a folder. A project is nothing but a folder which consists of static resources as well as what? Dynamic resources. It consists of static resources as well as dynamic resources. So what are the static resources here? It is having like HTML, okay, HTML, JavaScript, okay, JavaScript, CSS, images, audio, okay, video, all this comes under static resources. And not only that, it is having a dynamic resources like server side. These are server side what here? Technologies. It is having static resources as well as what? Dynamic resources. Okay, VS Code is having both the resources. That is a static resources, and one more is what? Dynamic resources. So how to create a web project in VS Code, right? A project is a folder which consists of static resources as well as dynamic resources. What you do is first thing what you have to do is, so first thing is create one folder. Okay, create one folder. So folder is nothing but here. What is a folder here? Project. Create one folder. Folder is nothing but what here? Project. Create one folder. So folder is nothing but what here? Project. Okay, so try to create one folder. Yes, what I'm doing is I'm creating one folder in my class folder. So Django 11 AM, I'm creating one folder. Okay, I'm creating one folder. I'm saying this folder is web application 1. What is the name of the folder? Web application 1. So just click right mouse button. Just click right mouse button, and then you can use open with. Okay, so association is not done. What we'll do is You can directly open otherwise. If not, open VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and here you can find a open folder. So there's a file and open folder. So just select the open folder. Where is your folder on desktop? Django 11 AM. And what is your application? Web application 1. Select the folder. Okay, select the folder. Okay, so yes, select the folder. What is your folder here? Web application 1. But is it this application is having any resources? No. Your application is what here? Empty. Okay. I'm telling you again. So create folder. Create one folder or project. Open VS Code. Open Visual Studio Code. Okay. Open VS Code. Actually, if association is there, if you click right mouse button, you get open with. You'll get what here? Open with. Open with what here? VS Code. If you open directly with VS Code, that folder will be opened directly in what? Visual Studio Code. Okay. But here association is not there. Because of that, what I'm doing first is I try to open VS Code. I try to open Visual Studio Code. I try to open Visual Studio Code, and here you have a file and open folder. Okay. So after that, open VS Code and then click on file and open folder. So your folder is nothing but project. Your folder is nothing but what? Project. Okay. Click on file and open folder. Okay, open folder. Now if you want to close it, you can also close the folder, close folder. Okay, now folder is closed. Just go to file and select open folder. So where is my folder on desktop and web application 1? Select the folder. Yes, your folder is open and this folder is nothing but what? Project. Your folder is open and this folder is nothing but what here? Project. Right? Is it clear up to this? Is it clear up to this? Okay. Then after that, once you open the project, next is creating what here? Files. Creating files. Okay, which files are you creating? You are creating which files? HTML. You are creating which one? CSS. You are creating which one? JavaScript. Okay. You are creating all these files. So for creating a files, what you have to do is you have to select file, create file. File, create file. Select file, create file. In VS Code, select the file. File is there, no? In this you have a new file. So new file, create file, or what is this? New file. Or you can see here, there is a new file. Okay, there is an option called new file or not. Yes, select the file. And I'm trying to say here, welcome.html. I said welcome.html. This is which file? HTML file. Okay, now I select this new file. I'll say some style 1 dot. I'm saying style 1 dot CSS. This is which file? CSS file. Okay, if I'm trying to say JS1 dot JS. This is which file? JavaScript. Can you see different symbols or not? Okay, can you see the different symbols or not? See here. Can you see the different symbols or not? Okay, see here. If it is JavaScript, can you see JS? If it is a style sheet, you get what here? Hash. If it is HTML, it is a tags where you find less than and what? Greater than. If it is CSS, you find hash. And if it is a JavaScript, you find which one? .js. For example, you can configure this. For example, there is a extensions here. There is a extensions. So what is this extensions is? Now in VS Code, I said you can able to execute any program. You can able to run any program, or you can able to test what? Any program. Okay, suppose I write HTML here. I write HTML code. See, what is the advantage of VS Code is? The advantage is online error checking. Online error checking means if I write a JavaScript code, immediately if there is any error, it will show you what error. I don't require to compile it. I don't require to what? Compile it, right? Online error checking. Okay, there are some beautiful things you find in what? Editors, IDEs. Okay, where you can share the code. You can share the code between number of people. You can share the code between number of people, right? Extensions are available. Extensions are what here? Available. Suppose you want to run the Python program in VS Code editor. You want to run the Python program. Suppose I write a Python program saying some test.py. I just write test.py. Now this is which program? This is which program? Python program. Test.py is which program? Python program. Now, can I able to execute this Python program? I'm saying hello, hello, print hello Python. Can I say run? Okay, run. Is it any option is there? If I say run, is it any option is there to execute this Python program? No, because is it extensions are available or not available? Not available. So go to command means you have to go to command prompt. But I want to execute. But I want to execute a Python code from which one? VS Code. So for that, I have to add what? Extensions. I have to add what? Extensions. Extensions are nothing but extensions are nothing but what is extensions? Extensions are nothing but you can say softwares. Extensions are nothing but what here? Softwares. Extensions are nothing but softwares required. Software required to run applications. Softwares required to run applications or what? Programs. Run and manage applications or program. Run or manage applications or what? Programs. Run or manage applications or programs. So that you can call it as what? Extensions. So how can you add these extensions? Just click on extensions, Control Shift X, extensions. There is what here? Extensions. So if you want to add extensions, click on which one? Extensions. Click on which one? Extensions. Click on extensions. Where you find the extensions? This you can call it as extensions. I just paste this. Okay, I'll try to paste this. This you can call it as which one? Extensions. So this window, this menu is called as which one? Extensions. Okay, this is extensions. Okay, right. So this is called as an extensions. So click on extensions. This is called as extensions, right? So just click on the extensions. Click on the extensions, and here you can find so many extensions here. C++, Python, okay, C++, Python. Even you have some HTML extensions. You find HTML snippets, okay. These are called HTML extensions. HTML CSS, okay. HTML preview, okay. HTML boilerplate. Format HTML means you get with the different colors, okay. So all these are what here? Extensions. But generally you don't execute HTML or you don't execute a web document in VS Code, right? Generally, where you execute this HTML document in browser, you need to execute within the browser, right? So for that, what I required is one server. Okay, one server I required. Okay, where you are trying to put this web application within one server. And there is an extension you find which is called as a live server. Just see here. Live server, launch, see here. Launch a development local server with live reload features for static and what dynamic pages. So here, launch a development local server. This is not remote server. It is which server? Local server. It means where you are trying to put all your files and execute within the local server. So from local server, it will be open in which one? Browser. Okay. So there is a local server here. Live server is which one? Local server. Okay. It is not a remote server. So it is used for development. So launch a development local server, live reload features for static and dynamic pages. Now just try to install this local server, okay, for web development, but not for Django. For developing Django application, you require another server, but this is only for static. It is only for static as well as dynamic. Okay, dynamic means not related with what? Django initially, right? But later on we'll see how to work with that. Just try to see here. So just try to see here. Try to install. Which one you try to install? Live server. Try to install the live server. Now this is local live server. So just install this live server. So this is the next step. Install the live server. Install live server. Install. Now this live server I'm using here for executing HTML and JavaScript, Bootstrap, CSS, and other applications. Okay, Senapati. It is not for Python. It is not for Python. I'm not using it for Python. Okay, now, right. Yeah, installation is over now. Okay, installation is what here? Over now. Now come to HTML, welcome.html. Okay, so when you press this exclamatory, you get EMAT abbreviation. So by default, you did all these things like document type is HTML, HTML language is English, head, in head you can find meta character set and meta name and everything. Okay, so you don't require to write anything. Yeah, it is also, you can also use it for Django, but for that you have to configure Python also, Ramesh. So right now I'm not telling anything about Django, please. Right now we are talking about only HTML and other things. That's all. Okay. So don't be confused. Later on, that is what I said. When I started this VS Code, what I said is you can write all the things. You can write all the things in VS Code, but we'll try to add extensions, we'll keep on adding extensions. We'll try to introduce what? New things. New things means, for example, if I'm working with a Python, I'll try to add extensions called which one? Python. If I'm adding a Django, then I'll try to add an extension called Django. But initially, I'm talking about only HTML and what? CSS, right? Okay. So don't worry about that. Okay. Yes. So here, Once HTML is created, now you can open this. Okay, you can open. Okay, open with, just click on open with which one? Live server. Open this HTML with the live server. Now if you see, is it any output here? No, because are you displayed any content here? No. So I'm trying to display the content, saying that, okay, I just give welcome to, okay, welcome to VS Code. Okay, just open with live server. Now you can see the message. Welcome to what is that? VS Code. Okay, so select HTML. Okay, select HTML and open with live server. To run this HTML or to test this HTML, to run this HTML or to test this HTML, open this HTML. Open this HTML with the live server. Open with the live server. Yes, I'm trying to copy this. Yes, open with the live server. Open with the live server. Okay, yes. I said, whenever you are working with the, see here, whenever you are talking about web, in the web, how many programs will be there? In web application development, how many programs will be there? 2 programs will be there. One is a client and one more is what? Server. Okay, one is a client and one more is a server. In web or internet application development, in web or internet application development, web or internet application development. So which one is called as a client? Browser. Which one is called as a client here? Browser. Browser is a client. And your server is which server here? Web server. Your server is which server here? Web server. Who is the client in internet? Browser. Okay, how client communicate with the server? By using one software. What is that software here? Browser. So client means, don't think that user, right? Client is a software, which is used by end user to communicate with what? Server. So what will happen in VS Code is, now this is your browser. What will happen in VS Code is, this is your browser. This is your browser and this is what here? Server. As a browser is there and server is there. So what will happen? Now this is my web application. This is my web. This is my web application. This is my web application. Okay. This is my web application. And this web application is having one HTML page. What is the name of this page here? Welcome.html. So when you say here run, when you click right mouse button and you'll say run on live server, this will be deployed. When you say run, see, when you're saying run, open with live server. When you say open with live server, when you say open with live server, what will happen? This web application is deployed. This application is what here? Deployed or installed. Deployed or installed inside which one? Live server. And that live server will send this resource, means this HTML page. It is sending this HTML page like welcome.html as a response to which one? Browser. So who's sending this welcome.html to the response to the browser? Live server. So before sending it, what it is doing? It is installing it. Which one it is installing? Your web application into what? Server. And that server is sending this resource to whom? Browser. Because HTML is a server side or client side? Client side. HTML is a server side or client side? Client side. HTML is a client side program, and this program get executed within the browser. This program get executed within the browser. Now, who is sending this welcome.html to the browser? Server. What is that server here? Live server. What is that server here? Live server. Okay, na? Yes. But we'll try to see this picture in detail, but just try to understand when you say open with live server, how it is opening in a browser. When I say open with live server, how it is opening in what browser? We should have the knowledge of that, right? So server is sending this resource to home browser. Otherwise, what you have to do is, suppose when I say here, open with server. When I say here open with server, can you see 127.0.0.1? Can you see 127.0.0.1? What is this 127.0.0.1? IP address. It is called which one? IP address. IP address of a system on which your server is running. IP address of a system in which your server is running. IP address of a system in which your server is running. Which server? Live server. This is live server. Now this live server is running inside a system. Okay, this live server is running inside a system. Yeah, we can change the IP address here, but you are not a networking administrator, right? You are not a networking administrator. General, who changes this IP addresses? Network administrators, because you are an application developer and your job is not changing IP addresses, doing some networking configurations, right? So that is done by the networking administrators. And it is a responsibility of networking administrators to provide the complete information about the server and where the server is running, IP addresses, port numbers, and everything. Okay, yes. So here 120.0.120.0.0.1. What is 120.0.0.1? IP address. So this is an IP address. 127. Okay. I've just taken here. 127. Okay. So we'll have 127 only. Okay. 127. Okay. 127.0.0.1. So this is a system IP address. This is a system IP address. And within this, which program is there? Server program is there. Inside this, which program is there? Server. And this server is identified with one number. Because in one system, you can have multiple servers. Okay, now in one system, you can have multiple servers. But each server is given one unique number. And that unique number, you call it as what? Port number. And what is the port number of this server? 5500. What is the port number of this server? 5500. What is the port number of this server? 5500. That is called as which number? Port number. Now tell me, can I run directly saying, can I write here 127.0.0.1 / colon 5500. What is 5500 here? Live server. What is 5500 here? Live server. Is it I open the server or not? Yes. In my server, which application is there? Web application 1. And within this web application 1, which one is there? How many programs are there? JS1.js, style 1.css, test.py, and welcome.html. Now, which one you want to open? Welcome.html. So, can you open this welcome.html directly or not? Yes. Getting on. See, either you can write. So, you can open the browser. Okay, what you can do is, in this, you have a web application. You have a web application 1. So there is a web application 1, and within web application 1, there is welcome.html. Now, I want to run this. I want to run this HTML from, I want to access this HTML which is there in web application 1. Okay. So how can I access this? Within the browser, I'm sending a request. Within the browser, I'm sending a request. But how I'm sending a request in the browser? I'm trying to give the IP address of a system 127.0.0.1. Okay, 127.0.0.1. Within the system, you are connecting to which server? 5500. 5500 is which server? Live server. And from live server, you are trying to access which resource? Welcome.html. Now, can I give this? Can I give this slash resource? Slash what is that resource? The resource which I want to access it. The resource which I want to access it. Just click on open with live server. Now, can you see welcome.html or not? Yes. Okay. Now you can give the resource name. You can give the resource name which you want to access it. What is that? Welcome dot what? HTML. Welcome.html. Right? Okay. Now it is nothing but first you are connecting to the system, and from system you are connecting to which one? Server. And from server you are trying to access which one? Welcome.html. Now who's sending this welcome.html? Server. Because this is client side or server side? Server side. Client side. HTML is not server side. It is what? Client side, which is downloaded from server and executed within. It is downloaded from server and executed within browser. It is downloaded from server and executed within browser. Okay. Yes. This is clear, right? Okay. Once you practice it, then you'll get it. Okay. If you don't practice, then you don't get it, right? Okay. So try to install the VS Code and just try to practice this so that, yes. Okay. Yeah. This is live server. Try to install the live server and work with it. Now, whatever you want it, you can do it. All HTML, you can practice all HTML codes, right? You can practice all HTML codes, right? Okay, if any errors are there, it will show you online. Okay, yes, you can practice all the things related with HTML. Yeah, we'll try to see some more IDs also, but let us see first, because most of the times you may use this VS Code, or suppose if it is Django, you'll try to use PyCharm. So that will provide a good environment for this. So this is H5, and this is also what here? H5. So how to get this pre-HTML code? Now you can see, welcome to VS Code, welcome to VS Code, welcome to VS Code, and welcome to VS Code, and welcome to VS Code, right? How you get this predefined code? Just type, just here. Put exclamatory, just insert exclamatory, emit abbreviation. So it will get automatically document type and everything. You'll get everything, document type and everything, right? Okay, right? Sashidhar ready. Understood or not? Sashidhar ready. Is it clear? Okay, right. Right. Now, next is, now in the last class, see here, in the last class, yeah, tell me. In the last class, we have seen working with the tables. Yes or no? Yes. Okay, in the last class, I said working with the tables. That is on 11th. We have seen working with the tables. Tables we have seen how to work with the tables, and we have seen row span, and one more is what? Column span, like that. Now next we'll talk about nested tables. Nested tables. Okay. So we just started and we installed which one? Visual Studio Code. Yes. Nested tables. So I'm continuing with the previous class. Nested tables. A table within a table. So a table within table is called a nested table. Oh, sorry. Already I've written, right? So nested tables are nothing but representing a table within a cell. Okay, within a cell or table data. Within a cell or what? Table data. So that you can call it as which one? Nested tables. That you can call it as a nested table. Okay, for example, just try to see here. Okay, for example, yeah. So title is, I'm just giving a title as a nested tables. This is a title. So I just give the background color, right? Yes. Font size is small. You want to change the font, huh? Yeah, can you see this? Yes. Kundan, can you able to see now? Right. So, okay, now that is a document type. And I said here, head title is nested tables. And I said body BG color equal to what? Cyan. Now I just create a table. So I just create what here? Table. So table, okay, table border. I'm trying to define the table border. So I've taken the table border as a 2. Now see, formatting is very simple. Okay, table header, table, okay, we just write table row. Okay, table row, and there is a table data. So there is a table row and there is a table data where I'm saying this is each cell or each column. So there is an employee name. So there is an employee number, employee name, and there is an employee salary. Employee number, employee name, and employee salary, right? So you can just run this, open with live server. You can see employee number, employee name, and what? Employee salary. Yes. So then after that, now I can define the employee details. I can define what your employee details, like table row, okay, and table data, employee number is 101, cell, each cell, employee name is some Suresh. Employee number is 101 and employee name is what here? Suresh. But when it comes to employee salary is having different different data. Salary means it contains some allowances. Okay. Salary consists of allowances, deductions, everything, right? Then I want to represent that as one more table. I want to represent that as another table. So table row, and see, can I write table data within this? What I'm saying is I'm creating another table. See here, I'm creating another table by saying some border. So border equal to what here? 2. So I'm trying to represent the table data as, I'm trying to represent cell. Within a cell, I'm trying to insert one more table. Okay. Then table row. Now, this is a beautiful thing which you find in IDEs. You don't require to write anything. The code will be generated automatically. So if you give the hint, you'll get the, yes, table data. So what is the table data? I'm just writing here basic. Okay, table data. Okay, basic salary. Table data, some HRA. Okay, table data, some DSNS allowance. Okay, table data. Now, within this table, how many columns are there? 3 columns are there. Within this table, how many columns are there? 3 columns are there. See here. Within this column, there is a table again. Basic HRA and one more is what? DA, right? So I can define basic HRA DA. I'll try to define table row, and I try to define the basic salary. Some basic salary is some 50, suppose table data. Okay, table data, sorry, table data. Okay, then again, table data, some HRE is some 10%, which is some 5,000. 10% is 5,000. And table data, some 2,000, right? Yes. So just try to execute this. Now you can see 101 is a Suresh, who's the employee number. Employee name is Suresh, and employee salary, basic HRA and DA. Now this is 50,000, 5,000, and one more is what? 2,000. So this is 50,000, 5,000, and 2,000. Okay, this is inserted as one table or not? Yes. So writing a table inside a table is called as what? Nested. But are you writing a table inside a table directly? No. You are representing a table inside one cell. You are representing a table inside one cell, right? Yes. Okay. See, I'm not extending this. Okay. Just try to understand what is a nested tables. Okay. Yes. This is output of this code. Okay, right? Next thing is, now this is working with what here? Tables. Next we'll see working with the, yes, working with what? Links. Working with the links. Hyperlinks. You call it as which one? Hyperlinks. Working with hyperlinks. Or sometimes you'll say working with what here? Links. Working with the hyperlinks or working with what? Links. See, whenever the name itself, right? Link. Okay, link. The name itself is a link. Whenever you are talking about web application, a web application is a collection of web pages. Collection of what? Web pages. But whenever you open the website, okay, suppose I try to open python.org. When I open the website, I'll get first page. And this first page, you call it as what? Home page. This first page is called as what? Home page. It is just like a website is just like a book. A website is just like what? A book which contains set of pages. Okay, I can move from one page to what? Another page. So in order to move from one page to another page, there should be link. There should be link from one page to what? Another page. So this link can be either within the same website. Okay, one page can link with another page exist in the same web application, or it can be linked with a page available in what? Another web application. It can be same application, or it can be what? Another application. What I meant to tell you is, okay, right. What I'm telling you is, this link can be either a page within the same application or a page between what? Other applications. So you are linking one page with what? Another page. But not only that, within the page also you can link. Within the page also inline link, that you call it as inline link, where within the page you can move to the top of the page, you can move to the bottom of the page, or you can move to a specific content of the same page. Specific content of what? Same page. Now that can be done by using which one? Links. Getting on. Suppose if you see your web page is having a lot of content. Okay, your page is having a lot of content. Suppose if you are developing a tutorial, okay, in the tutorial you choose particular topic. When you choose a particular topic, that topic contains so many lines of code. So there are so many paragraphs will be there. Within that, you'll have so many paragraphs. Suppose you are in the last paragraph. Suppose my page is having 100 paragraphs. Assume that my page is having how many paragraphs? 100 paragraphs are there. Now I am in 90 paragraph. Now I want to move to which one? First. I want to move to first. Then how can I move to the first? I don't want to scroll it up. But rather than that, I can give some names. I can give some names to what? Each paragraph, so that if I want to switch from one paragraph to what? Another paragraph, or switch from one topic to what? Another topic within the same page. Not in another page, within the same page. So that also you can do it with the help of what? Links. So links are used to link two web pages, exist in the same application or exist in what? Another application. Exist in the same application or exist in what? Another application. Linking the content exists in the same page. Between moving the execution controller, moving the cursor from one line to another line within the same page. So that you can do it with the help of what? Hyperlinks or links. That is, hyperlinks are what? Links. So links are used. So I can say web application is a collection of one or more than one page. One or more than one web page. I'm saying web application is a collection of one or more than one web page. Is a collection of one or more than one web page. So one web page can be linked with another web page using one web page can be linked with another web page using what is that? Links are the same thing. You can call it as which one? Hyperlinks. So this linking can be done. This linking can be done same page, within same page between named paragraphs. Okay, named paragraphs. So it allows to move. It allows to move, move or navigate, move or navigate between same page from one place toward another place. From one place toward here, another place. Navigation. Navigation between one place to another place or between the web pages or between the web sites. Between the web pages or between the web sites. So what is the tag used for creating a link is anchor tag. The tag used for creating links is anchor tag. It is called as which one? Anchor tag. Anchor. It is called as A stands for what? Anchor. Anchor tag. A stands for what here? Anchor. Right? So what is the syntax of using this anchor tag? So there is a and H reference. It followed by URL. It followed by URL. Okay, it followed by URL. It followed by URL. And then, so your text to be displayed. Text to be displayed or same thing, you can call it as which one? Label. Label. And this is closing of anchor tag. This is closing of anchor tag. But this anchor tag also has some more things are there. Okay, ahref equal to URL. It followed by visitor link color, active link color. Okay, visited link color, active link color, visited link color, A color, V color. Okay, visited link color and active link color, right? And then text, or you can also define which one? Label. Sorry. Close the anchor tag. So you can also have a font. Okay. You can also have a font and other things also. You can have a font and other things also. Okay. You can have a font and other things also. You can have a font and other things also. Okay. Okay, right? Yes. Okay, for example, I'm telling you a simple example of, so yeah, Explorer and create a new file. Okay, so link test1, link test1.html, link test1.html. Okay, yes. Okay, link 1.html, right? So I try to remove this metadata. So this is an example of hyperlink, example of hyperlinks. This is an example of which one? Hyperlinks. And body. So I just give the body color. So here URL stands for, tell me here, what is URL stands for? URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Uniform Resource Locator. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So this define the location. This define location where the resource is available. It define the location where the resource is available. Where resource is available. Where resource is available. Okay, the location where the resource is available. So this URL can be absolute URL, or it can be what? Relative URL. This URL can be absolute or it can be what? Relative. Okay. It can be absolute path, or it can be what? Relative path. URL means path only. URL is nothing but what? Path only. The location where the resource is available. Absolute, relative. Relative means absolute is there and one more is relative. Absolute is there and one more is what? Relative. Okay. Absolute and one more is what? Relative. Relative to the current location. Relative to the current location. Relative means, for example, there is a building. In building, 5 floors are there. In building, how many floors are there? 5 floors. First, you enter into the building. Then you want to reach to which floor? First floor. You go to first floor. Now, from first floor, you want to go to 5th floor. Will you move again down and go to 5th floor, or from first floor you'll go to 5th floor? First floor to 5th floor. First floor to 5th floor. That is what? Relative. That is what here? Relative, right? Same path. It is in the same path, right? Same path, that is called as relative. Absolute means again you have to come down and again go to where? 5th floor. So that is what? Absolute. That is absolute. That is what? Absolute. Relative path, and one more is what? Absolute. So when you go for absolute is, if it is between applications, two buildings are there. Now you are in first floor of first building, you want to jump to first floor of second building. Okay, you cannot jump directly, right? You cannot jump from first floor of first building to what? First floor of second building. What do you have to do? You have to come out of the first building and then go to the second building and then move to which floor? First floor. That is what? Absolute. So when you go for absolute is, if they are in different locations. If the resources are different locations, then you go for what? Absolute. If all the resources are there in the same location, you don't require to go for what? Absolute. Means my HTML is there in the same location. Okay, my HTML file is there in the same location. My image is there in the same location. My audio file is there in the same location, and other HTML files also there in the same location. The location where my HTML file is there. The location where my HTML file is there, in that location, it will search. Suppose my HTML file is there in web application 1. If I give relative to HTML1, if I say relative to what? HTML1. Relative to HTML1 means HTML1 is there in which location? Web application 1. Then it will search in which location? Web application 1 only. That is relative. That is called as relative. Current working location. So relative is there and one more is what? Absolute. Generally, if one project you don't go for absolute, don't select the absolute, because Absolute means you have to give the complete path, complete URL. Complete URL means you have to hard code server IP address, server port number, everything you have to hard code. Okay, server port number, IP address, everything you have to hard code. Suppose if this is a local server, if you deploy that in a remote server, will it work or doesn't work? Doesn't work. Again, I have to change server IP address and everything. So that's the reason it is always not preferable. It is always not preferable to give what? Absolute path. It is not preferable to give what? Absolute path if all the resources are there in the same application. Relative to the current resource, if it is relative to the current resource, then don't call those resources with what? Complete path. Don't call with the complete path. You just give which path? A relative path. Relative to the current resource. Relative to the current resource means the location where my resource is available, the same location it will search. If my HTML file is there in web application 1, it will search in web application 1 only. I don't say web application 1. I don't say web application 1. So relative to the current resource, that you call it as what? Relative URL or relative path. Relative URL or relative path, right? Relative path. Relative URL or path. If all resources exist in what? Same application, it is referred. It is referred using relative URL of current resource. Relative URL of current resource means the location where current resource exists, that is called relative URL. Absolute path is so defining the URL with its position. Its position is called absolute path or URL. So the complete path. So it is always preferable. It is always preferable to define relative path or absolute path. Relative path. If the resources are exist in the same location. If the resources are exist in the same location, so try to use which path here? Relative path, rather than using which path? Absolute path. You have to understand this. URL is, there is some questions they ask you if you are working with web. What is URL? What is URI? What is URL? What is URI? What is URN? What is URL stands for? Uniform resource locator. What is URI? Uniform resource identifier. URN means uniform resource name. Uniform resource name. URL, URI, URN. Okay. These questions you should know when you are working with the web. URL, URN, URL, URI, and one more is URN. For example, 127.0.0.1:505500 web application 1, okay, slash welcome dot html. So this complete thing is called which one? URL. This is called as which one? URL. And URI is from that server web application 1 slash welcome dot html. This is called URI. And within this slash welcome dot html, this is called URN. Okay. So what is URL? URL uniform resource locator, which include what? IP address, port number, application name, and resource. But URI consists of identifier. It means your resource is identified with what? Some name. And what is that name? Generally, this web application name, or it is called as web application context name. It is called as web application name or web application context name. And that you call it as which one? URI, uniform resource identifier. And next one is slash welcome.html. That is called as URN. Yeah, generally you go for absolute path. Yes. Then you go for absolute path. Yes. You go for absolute path. If they are in two different web applications, right? Two different web applications or websites. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think you understood these differences, right? URL, URI, and URN. Then can you say URN is called as relative or not? Yes. This URN is called as which one? Relative. I just give only a resource name. I don't give the complete information. I just give only the resource name. I don't give the complete information. Now this you call it as which one? Relative. And this you can call it as which one? Absolute. This you can call it as which one? Absolute. This you can call it as which one? Relative. Relative to this web application. And this web application is running in this server. And this server is existing in this system. Okay, now this complete thing is called as a absolute. And this you can call it as what? Relative. Absolute path, and this is what here? Relative path. Okay. So otherwise, we'll see in detail on this, like what is absolute and relative. And even we'll see this hyperlinks with some images, and we will also see forms and frames. Okay. Maybe tomorrow we'll see that. Okay. So today we'll just stop it here, and tomorrow we'll continue with the rest of the things, right? I think you understood today's class, right? Okay. So try to practice this and try to install the VS Code. Okay. We'll also see how to work in Sublime and what is that PyCharm also. Okay. Don't worry. We'll see multiple editors. Okay. Thank you. We'll see tomorrow. Right. Generally, Jupyter is not for web development, Vicky Yadav. Jupyter is for data science and HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Bootstrap. Not required, because I'll be covering most of the things, right? First I'm teaching UI for 20 classes, and remaining all classes are design. बताऊंगा पूरा बताया. Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, we'll see all these things. Google Classroom is there. I'll be uploading in Google Classroom. You can download from there. Are you joined in the Google Classroom? Okay. You ask admin. He'll give the Google Classroom code. Okay, join in that. Yes, you'll get all the notes. Okay. I'm Srinivas. Okay. Holy. अभी नया मालूम है